There is a fine line between fiction and bullshit. And according to some Dragon Ball Z fans, Super is starting to stink. Hello folks, I'm Jelle, and for a little while now I've been looking for a good way to start things off on my new Dragon Ball Z channel. So a way I found to do this is make a sort of rant video in which I expose sort of a problem that Dragon Ball Z has with its power scaling. So in this video I'm going to rant on about some of the strange power jumps that the characters make, and then in future videos I will give a good explanation to why these power jumps are possible if you were to change sort of details. Now if you have seen my introduction video, you know I'm not going to solve things via the sort of established canon, and I'm going to take a lot of liberty with the source material, just me expressing my creativity. So if you like to solve things within the canon and you want real answers, then I'm afraid that this channel is not going to help you. But if you like speculating and coming up with new creative ideas that take liberty with the source material, you should definitely make yourself comfortable. Now I do need to give you sort of a disclaimer. I haven't actually watched the Dragon Ball Z Super yet. I have seen all of Z, but before I got into watching Dragon Ball Z, I wanted to know whether or not Dragon Ball Z was going to be fun for me, which I explained in my introduction video. Now even though it was the abridged that really got me hooked on Dragon Ball Z, I watched a lot of Geekdom's videos about power levels and about the things that are currently going on in the show. So so far as I know, I'm up to date with what happens in the story. Or not entirely with the Tournament of Power, because at that point I thought, you know what, would be cool, not spoiling everything so I can actually watch the show and enjoy it. But if it comes to Battle of Gods, I have actually seen that movie, The Battle of Gods, but I haven't seen Resurrection of F, but I do know what happens. And the Zamasu arc, the Goku Black arc, I know what happens there as well, because that arc was happening while I got into Dragon Ball Z, and I was sort of following the story involved. But from a second party, so to say, you know, so I didn't actually watch this show myself. But I do know all of the discussions because I do keep track of that. So basically what I'm telling is, I'm not the guy with the canon, but I'm the guy that is going to expose a few problems, and then I'm going to give my own creative solutions to them for a sort of fresh perspective and just fun speculating and stuff. Okay, now that is out of the way, let's get angry.
Let's get fucking angry.
The first problem is called gotenks. Now it is in fact Frieza who screwed over the power level scaling to the point that Kiteru Toriyama dropped it in the second arc. But we all know that were Goten and Trunks that took such a huge leap in power that up until this day there has been no satisfying explanation to why that is. Their power became so great that in their base form they could challenge Android 18, which I will remind you turned Super Saiyan Vegeta into a joke. And of course that's just their base form, hiding in the Mighty Mask costume. There is still the ability to go Super Saiyan that multiplies their power by 50 times its original strength. If I'm allowed to make a few wild assumptions, then I would say that either Gotenks or Trunks is half as powerful as Android 18. They combine their power and they become almost as strong as Android 18, or perhaps equally as strong. And I wanted to turn Super Saiyan to beat her. Now if they would turn Super Saiyan, then they will be 25 times as strong as Android 18, which in comparison to Super Saiyans from the previous arc is of course wildly overpowered. For children of what, 8 years old or something? No wait, 7? I don't even... Now what I want to do is make a few videos about the Saiyans, about the Saiyan history, about their culture, about the ability to go Super Saiyan and the ability to turn into a great ape. And I hope to address this sort of issue in those videos, at least, you know, via my own creativity, not via anything. I don't think I can solve it within the canon, but perhaps I can come up with a sort of non-canon explanation for it. And I will invite you to watch those videos once I have uploaded them. Of course, the second person on my blacklist is no one else than the show's protagonist Goku. Now of course, being the protagonist, Goku can get away with a lot of power-ups. However, I think that he truly breaks the power scale in Battle of Gods. I will explain why. It is not that he obtains godhood via the god ritual. That is sort of a plot device, and from the movie's point of view that is, you know, explainable and acceptable. What I'm talking about is the fact that the sort of God mode Goku activates is only lasts for like 5 minutes or so before it dissipates. After which Goku has somehow absorbed the God power and keeps a portion of it or some of its power and continues on fighting in his Super Saiyan form. And can stand against Beerus even though the Super Saiyan 3 only took 2 hits to lay low. And now he can, in his Super Saiyan form, just fight Beerus because he somehow obtained godlike power, even though he's not a god anymore because the power has already stopped working. What? Now, I have heard Geekdom say that in the anime he claims that that his body absorbed the god power, so the power became sort of permanent because it got absorbed. However, within the movie which I watched, Beerus says that because he fought at that level of intensity, that his body sort of got used to that power and adjusted itself, which I find far more an acceptable explanation than the fact that he just absorbed the power, because so far we know Saiyans don't absorb powers, but we do know from the Cell Saga that Saiyan bodies can adjust to higher levels of power. So the idea that Goku's body under that intensity of godhood and with the god healing factor could sort of adjust to the power and therefore got a power boost which is just a very large Zenkai boost, that makes a lot more sense. But still within the sort of story of the movie where he's able to fight off Beerus, it doesn't work for me, you know. So I actually had a very interesting idea which I want to share with you guys. And even if you sort of don't see it as canon or whatnot, I still want to share the idea and I want to ask you what you think of it. And I will make a separate video about the Super Saiyan God for that. Well, the third person that totally screws over the power scale is none other than Frieza. Obviously Frieza was going to pull one of these. He's my favorite Dragon Ball character, my favorite villain that is. And he truly earns a rightful spot on this list. Frieza pulled some super BS. So we know that Frieza is supposedly the strongest of the universe. And even though I don't consider him to be the strongest of the entire universe, because that would shrink the universe significantly, it makes sense that within Northern Kai's sort of region of the universe, the region that he watches, he was at that moment the most powerful warrior. Now, it isn't explained why he has such an extremely high power level, but we can assume his species does have something to do with it. However, in Resurrection of F, he comes back, trains for only 4 months, and obtains the same power as an ascended god. What the Seriously? The show claims that he went to train for only 4 months, he never trained in his life, and that he mutated. I have a problem with everything I just said. First of all, the concept that Frieza never trains in his life is so dumb. So unbelievably dumb. There are not enough hours in a day for me to explain why that is dumb. First off, how does he know all of his martial art techniques? How does he know how to fly if he never trains, if he never learned to? This guy has a serious range of powers, from flight to energy attacks to telekinesis, I think it's called, moving objects with your mind or with his key power. Like he can move entire mountains if he wants to, but he never learned how to, he just knew. The only viable explanation for this is genetic memories. Now, this will be copy-pasting from the Namekians, which will be extremely cheesy. To say that Frieza species reproduces the same way as Namekians by just spitting out an egg, which I'm going to call them Chaldeans, by the way, the Frieza species, the Chaldeans, but also have their genetic memories, is BS. It's cheesy and it's not fun and not creative. It's just copy pasting, literally. Now the Namekians, we know that they have genetic memories, which are sort of memories which are implanted in their subconsciousness as a sort of instinct. We know this from Kami, at least I know for a fact. Like Kami, he explains that the Dragon Balls existed in his mind as a blueprint far before he actually made them. So his father actually implanted memories of how to make Dragon Balls, a complicated magical artifact, in the memories of his child when he gave birth to him. And King Piccolo gives birth to Piccolo Jr., and Piccolo Jr. as seen in Dragon Ball, he's chased by a dog, and when the dog jumps him, he instinctively fires an energy beam at the dog. Not one powerful enough to vaporize him, I think, but one enough to deflect and scare away the dog. Which shows us that the Namekians know techniques and know magic and whatnot through genetic memory. But to copy paste this and give it to Frieza is stupid. And of course Piccolo trains, he trains very hard, he meditates to recall these memories, he makes a duplicate of himself and he tests out his fighting skills against himself. So Piccolo trains, and to suggest that Frieza simply is born all powerful and knowledge of all of these combat techniques and martial arts is nonsensical. Then there's the mutating problem. Now, okay, this is a little bit of a complicated biological concept, but let me try and explain this. So you have DNA, or you know this, you know you have DNA. Your DNA resides within your cells, and your cells copy themselves. And via your DNA, your cells can tell what your body is supposed to look like. They transform into skin cells, blood cells, bone cells, hair cells, and I don't know how they know where to go, but they know where to go, and they build you up. So your cells split, they clone themselves, they're not clone, but they split off and make duplicates of themselves, and then they build your body according to what's written in your DNA. The concept of evolution is that once you procreate, a copy is made from your DNA and from the DNA of your partner. And this is thrown into a new gene pool. Now, to use a DNA from your entire gene pool, you need thousands of children to use all of the information that is in there. So there's enough information for generations upon generations of humans. But the concept of evolution is that during this copying process of the DNA of the two partners, an error occurs that is positive. Now, errors occur a lot, and these are mutations, meaning handicaps basically. People with who are an albinism and Down syndrome, having an extra finger on your hand that doesn't function. Mutations are basically copying too much DNA or leaving important information out. And these are always bad, but the concept of Darwin is that there could be positive, giving the creature a little bit of extra information. And enough of this extra information can result the creature into changing. Now, this doesn't mean the creature improves. Natural selection removes all of the wrong, wrong implementations of the DNA, or removes all of the wrong things, and only the strong will survive. That is the theory, which is still not proven, and I have problems with that theory, personally. But if it comes to Frieza and Dragon Ball Z, that is not how mutation works. You do not train and then mutate new information in your DNA, in your gene pool, as transform and become stronger. That is not how evolution works, that's not how science works. That's bullshit. That is not how Frieza should be able to obtain his form. Unless his species has the overpowered ability to adjust its DNA whenever it pleases. Now, Frieza claims, there is actually some method to this madness, and that is Frieza claims that his final form, his sort of white form without the stripes, is sort of fourth form, is his birth form, his form in which he was born, and that is the most powerful form. And that the other forms are sort of either made up by him or like the other forms should be, biologically speaking, have some sort of function, of course. But they are not like his birth form. So you could suggest that yes, he has the ability to adjust his body, and he made those other forms, I think to suppress his power, but I'm not entirely sure anymore. I forgot to fact check that real quick. And Cooler made a new form, and he had his fifth form to become more powerful than Frieza. And Frieza made the golden form to become more powerful than Goku, but of course Frieza didn't know Goku was as powerful as a god, but maybe just made himself as powerful as he could. All of that doesn't work for me. All of that is just no. To me, the idea that you can adjust your DNA and transform it whatever you please is bad. It's a bad idea. So I wish to address Frieza's species and the golden Frieza form as I do with the god form. And then of course we have the Tournament of Power. Now, like I said, I didn't get into the Tournament of Power a lot. By the time I've made all of these other videos, I hope that Super will be out on DVD and I can watch all of Super and make a lengthy video about the Tournament of Power. But that's still far ahead of us. But I do want to sort of make my videos about my thoughts on the Tournament of Power. Because yeah, the power scaling is kind of screwed over, isn't it? So yeah, this is my little rant. This is why I think the power scaling is all screwed over. And these are some of the issues that I wish to address that I'm going to address with other videos, and I wish to give explanations to all of these. But I'm going to take creative liberty, so I'm not going to sort of help in any of the canon discussions or so. But why, why is this even necessary? Why are my videos necessary? Well, fiction, there's a fine line between fiction and nonsense, right? In fiction you say, well, what if people could fly? But then you need rules. How fast can they fly? How far can they fly? You need rules, and if you have those rules, it becomes its own logic. It becomes a fictional logic. As soon as people start teleporting, even though you never stated that they could, or they go faster than they should, then you're going to break and bend these rules. You're going to break these rules, and then it becomes bullshit. You're breaking your own fictional rules, then it becomes bullshit. So I wish to establish rules that would explain this bullshit, basically. And I'm going to ignore some of the things the show said, like supercells and 4 months of training and god rituals, and I'm going to come up with a better plot device, something that in its place could perhaps serve as a better way of these characters obtaining these powers and whatnot. And I'm going to do that with more than just the sort of power gaps and other things. Like, I want to make some videos about Frieza's entire species and how I imagine them to be, even though we only have Frieza and King Cold to go off. So I'm going to take a lot of creative liberty with that. And I will invite you to go watch them all as soon as I upload them, of course, because this is, if I'm planning this right, the second video that's going to be uploaded or something. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you like my video, leave a like, and leave some comments. I want to know your thoughts. I don't care as much about the likes as I care about your thoughts and sharing our creativity. So please, and come visit me back later. Perhaps subscribe so you are up to date, or do so when I have more content, whatever. It's up to you. It's not. I'm not building a livelihood on this, so it's not very important to me. But it does grant me back some of the energy that I put in these videos. So let me know how much you like this video, and you see me next time. Until later. Thank you for watching.